Reporting live from Cape Town, South Africa for Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson. Over the last few days, the internet has been reacting to both of Drake's lawsuit against UMG for illegally boosting Kendrick Lamar's hit song, Not Like Us, on Spotify, and also for defamation, claiming it could have stopped the release of a song falsely accusing him of being a sex offender. As soon as the lawsuit was made public, social media couldn't wait to roast Drake, using his newly filed case as another example of him losing the rap battle. Co-host of The Breakfast Club, Charlamagne, would offer his commentary. On Instagram, the radio host and media personality would share news of the lawsuit and follow that up with a caption that read, "Come on, man, because you lost a rap battle? Dot said squabble up, not lawyer up. I'm just here for the chaos. Let's discuss." In addition, Charlamagne would also reshare a clip from his podcast, The Brilliant Idiots, where he seemingly predicted a lawsuit by Drake was on its way. Back then, he said, "See, the internet never forgets. Thank you for the reminder. I told you 6 months ago during Brilliant Idiots' 500th episode what the next move was. Let's discuss." Similarly, guest co-host of The Breakfast Club, Lauren LaRosa, would report the news on her own social media, speaking to a member of Drake's camp, where she was told Drake allegedly filed the lawsuit because he feels the label boosted Lamar's song, making it difficult for Drake to renegotiate for more money when his contract is up. Either way, fans have came up with their own narrative as to why Drake would sue, making him look even worse in the public eye. Today we have our very own hip-hop analyst Camille and our very own John joining me in on this conversation. Now, Camille, you're hip-hop enthusiast, analyst on this, so I want to get your reaction because this is a lot. This is a lot. Camille, what's going through your mind when you saw this?
Listen, they were not playing when they said it's up and stuck, okay? Word to Cardi B, period. Yes, y'all. We have got to get into this because Drake dropped not one, but two intentions of pursuing legal action. And I think that, honestly, this is showing a lot of different sides of the coin. One, it's showing that Drake may in fact be a sore loser. You may be a little bit of a sore loser, Drake, in this one. The culture definitely is not feeling this at all. A lot of people are even calling into question some of his legacy. But I think it also highlights maybe something we all have known about the music industry, and maybe some of Drake's claims about the rap industry being weird are not so far off. Because how could your own label be working with the ops? Doesn't that seem kind of like conflict of interest-y?
Yeah.
I just feel like very interesting.
Yeah, no, and I want to get into that. Well, go ahead, Camille, finish up. Go ahead.
And just for people that maybe don't know, UMG actually owns and operates frontline record companies including Capitol, Decca, Def Jam, Gramophone, Interscope, Motown, Republic, and Virgin EMI. So they kind of own a lot of stuff. So when you think about where this case is kind of coming from, he's not really going up against TDE, right? He's going up against the label that owns them. And back in 2020, the reason why he's able to do this is because Kendrick did sign to UMG with a major deal that included Top Dog Entertainment.
Yeah. Now, and Camille, I want to dive into that because that was my same thing. That was some of the things that were coming to mind. So I'm glad you laid out some of them facts, but I do want to come back to that first. But John, let me come to you because I'm very interested to know, when you saw this, what was your reaction to seeing these lawsuits come out?
I think I was just like a lot of people, on the street level, this is not something that you do. You kind of supposed to take your L's as they come. And I think with Drake, as a businessman, I understand it. But I think in the sport of hip hop, it's about feeling, it's about emotion, it's about code, it's about ethics. We don't care about the business jargon so much. It just looks really bad from a headline point of view. People are not getting into the details. All they're seeing is that Kendrick dropped this bomb, this ether, on Drake. And now the response is, I'm finna take it to court.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm about to go tell the law, is ideally how it reads. So that was my response of like thinking about it in that aspect. Overall, as a business person, I do kind of want to say he's protecting his assets at the same time. I think we were talking off camera about he has deals with Nikes and other people. And when you put certain, particularly like pedophilia on someone, we've seen what happened to Michael Jackson when that was kind of put on his brand and how his legacy was tainted by that. So if I'm in business with Drake, think about this person that I'm in this big deals with. It's going to impact our business, the value of our relationship. So I would think that he's also being responsible to kind of like fight back against those accusations, particularly leading up to this damn Super Bowl. And I think you mentioned too, if everything goes through, I even seen that there's a potential possibility that he may not can perform the song because of this legal matter if it goes any further, any deeper.
Absolutely. Now, I want to just give my quick take, and then Camille, I'm coming to you for some more facts, because I think the thing that bothered me the most is like, absolutely, you're a businessman, all the things, but don't throw stones and then try to hide your hands, because you also called Kendrick a woman beater. You made claims that he was beating his wife, and that is not anything to play with either. So if he didn't say anything and that was like his first response to it, then okay, cool. I would be like, okay, yeah, business. But you were out here throwing stones too. So I think that's what bothered me the most is like, you did the same thing. Both of you were, throwing shots. But Camille, I want to come to you because the question that I have and the thing that you brought up about the labels, I always see and hear artists talking about this. This is a big conversation. Is it an issue because it's between these two artists, or is the issue an issue? If that makes sense, like, because when I'm looking at what the issue is, when we're talking about these big corporations not protecting their artists, that's a conversation I've seen one too many times. Is the issue not an issue?
I think it's a multi-layer issue. I think it has to deal with, of course, Drake's pride overall, affecting his legacy, affecting his deals, his potential earnings from other things, right? He ended up taking another step, releasing all that content over the summer just to kind of maintain relevancy. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to say that you're the best, you're going to take some L's. So, and I feel like, what? Also, this all kicked off with Like That, where Kendrick used a lot of simile and inferred that he was talking about him, but never specifically said anybody's name. So let's just all be very clear with that. He never said anyone's name. We just all can put 2 and 2 together. If 1 + 1 is 2, K9's Pet Cemetery for all the dogs, you know who he's talking about. So I think that when Drake decided to try to use his old tactics against someone that he didn't realize maybe was using the same tactics as you, has been using these tactics, has been underneath your label. You didn't know his full deal until you released Push-Ups. And then someone called you and said, are you sure? Because Kendrick has this. So he got more information on Kendrick, but Kendrick was also getting information on him. So I think it's an issue because no, the label did not protect you, feeding both of y'all and letting y'all use both of the same things against each other just to see almost like a gladiator, almost like
here's the
literally
thing that I do like. I'm gonna look at the positive. Everyone's going in on Drake right now, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, "Yo, you're a sucker. Look like you snitching."
Right.
But I do like the notion. I just think that it maybe should happen before, because I do question, would Drake have gone through this if he was deemed the victor in this? He would have been riding off to the sunset. He would have been flexing more. It would have been a whole campaign of him like doing his victory lap easily, right. And he would have left this alone. But the thing that I kind of commend the situation, because at the end of the day, I know everyone calls Drake, he's a white boy. He is like a half black brother, so I'll still give him someone that's part of our circle of blackness. You have Kendrick, who's clearly a black male, and you have these corporations who are non-black corporations, non-black owned corporations, and they're behind these beefs. They're behind these dramas. They're the ones benefiting from this. Kanye had the line, and the white man gets paid after all of this. Mm-hmm. Ideally, I kind of like that someone is trying to check them and keep them kind of like, hey, you can't do that. So that's the positive of what Drake is doing, because someone does need to check.
And it's kind of interesting, as we're seeing clips resurface of Kanye West talking about, right. Drake's caddy at UMG. Drake used to benefit from the system. So it's kind of, yes, it looks like you're kind of like, okay, now this hurts. Now I know how it feels. Now
it's like you've been seeing the drug dealers pushing drugs to your apartment complex the whole time. And then you were maybe getting broken off because you weren't saying nothing. And now they're paying somebody else instead of you. Now you calling the police.
Right. Yeah.
That's how it reads. Even though it's the right thing, it just doesn't read it just looks kind of funny. But I think I agree with him trying to protect his assets, particularly if none of those things are true. If someone said something about you and I, and then it blasts off into millions of streams. How do we
Grammy nominations, Super Bowl deal? Like what? Where we like? Someone asked me this question.
That was such a great play, I guess, on Kendrick's part, to give him that credit of, he put him in a corner that if you go tell on me, you're gonna look bad. If you don't say
Right.
nothing, you're gonna look bad. If you respond to me, you're gonna look bad. And I think on my kind of closeout thought about this moment is like, this was such an easy play for Drake to kind of just give credit to Kendrick. I think he should have just easily said, you know what, you got me on this battle, but you didn't win the war. Something simple like that, and then disappear to kind of keep us anticipating what else can come. And then maybe down the line, maybe his team can figure out the legalities. But I think what's the pushback against him is that he didn't acknowledge the loss. And I think that's like, as a leader, you still got to be humble enough to know that I could take my L and that it's okay. It doesn't mean that I'm done. It just means that, someone got me. Fuck it. Like, Drake, you've been doing your thing for like 15 plus years. There's going to be a chance you're going to slip up along the way. It is cool. It happens to the best of the major corporations of the world. And for you not to be able to at least own up into defeat, I think that shows the cowardice, and the thing that turns people off the most about him is that he's just not owning up to the loss. That's all he had to do. That's how I feel he had to do.
Yeah,
Right.
and I love the points that you added, because that's what I was asking. Like, is the issue an issue when we're talking about this big machine? Like, I like seeing him go after this big machine, because I do think it does take someone of Drake's caliber to be able to do something like this. We know if it was someone smaller, and I'm pretty sure there's been smaller lawsuits, we don't hear anything about it. So I really appreciated that part. But I think when the defamation comes in, that's when people are like you said, John, where it's like, hold on, my guy. Like, just wait a second. Now, I do want to say a statement. So a spokesperson from Universal did call the claims offensive and untrue, adding that fans choose the music that they want to hear. So that was from them, but I don't know. I guess we'll kind of see how this unfolds.
And the thing about it, go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say that the thing that I'm not like surprised about it, and even in that statement, because they're going to kind of protect themselves. They're not going to be like, you know what, Drake, you got us. So they're not going to admit to any wrongdoing, at least at this point. But I looked at it as, if you know how algorithm works, algorithm is AI. Algorithm is kind of like boosting and will push something that the audience is gravitating towards the most. And I think in this occasion, when Not Like Us dropped, I'm sure there was a peak response to the audience that was hearing it. And I imagine that the people that are behind it were like, yo, look at the data. People are really responding to this one. Let's get behind this and push this through, because our game plan is about selling streams and streams and records. We're not so emotionally attached to it. We just want to see something that works. If people are responding to it, then let's go. Because I remember we played in the studio here in Comedy Hype, and our response was like, oh, when Not Like Us came. So I imagine that was a response for everybody. So I do think a lot of people were saying that, there were bots and they were pushing it. But I just read it as like, people clearly had responded well to this. And I would imagine that any company that's into streaming will boost it. When we go on Instagram, they ask you, do you want to pay for this boost? We all in this scheme together, right? When you go on Instagram, do you want to boost this post? That's the same thing.
And some reports have come out that a part of this suit is like him saying like they were paying influencers to purposely use this song. Like, if we're playing off of the algorithm and everything. But I do want to point out that the Reddit readers and the social media investigators, they write you some stuff now. They got some points and figures. And apparently Not Like Us broke the record for biggest streaming day ever for a rap song in Spotify history. 12.8 million, which actually topped Drake's Girls Want Girls. So literally, they are using his ways that he has won and beat people. Like, this is not the same beef, though. We're not talking about the Meek Mill beef. Like, you're talking about somebody who has just as much backing as you, just as much popularity. So it's not someone you can really like. I just think Drake thought this was going to go a different way. Like, in his mind, he thought, okay, let me just drop push-ups and it's like jokey jokes. We're all rapping. But Kendrick is actually the Gemini you needed to fear. Like, he had some things in the chamber. Like, he had to get some stuff off his chest and does it with such simile. Like, this is a Pulitzer Prize winner.
I'm very interested to see how. I'm very interested to see how this play out, because even hearing those numbers, like, it doesn't surprise me, because I don't know what it is about that time that they were dropping stuff. I don't know. It was like quiet. Nothing was really happening. And then when they had this beef, it gave everybody something to do. So I feel like everybody was just tuned in. As John mentioned, literally in the studio, we stopped our working day, like, oh wait, such and such dropped. Like, I just remember everybody stopping what they were doing to talk about these. I was in 2 different productions, and every day on production they were like, hey, have you caught up? Oh, he dropped 2, and then plus like
Right.
Kendrick was dropping like 2 songs back to back. So it was creating so much buzz that those numbers don't surprise me. It doesn't feel like a boost. It feels like it's accurate. Go ahead, John.
Oh, I definitely agree with you in terms of the excitement that we had around it. I could just only imagine again because I did see some of the numbers that were coming out. There was a screenshot that I want to say academics platform put out, and it had like it was like Kendrick had like 700,000 views in like a few seconds or something like that. So I know how this stuff works. I see other platforms, I see YouTube channels, other entities that kind of do what we do, and you look at their numbers, and then you look at the amount of comments they have, and it'd be like, yo, that doesn't really match. So this does exist, and I think that maybe there is something that did happen, and Drake probably has the insight to at least express that. Again, just on a street level, it just doesn't read well. It just doesn't read well, and I'm now kind of concerned about is this kind of the end of Drake from a self-sabotage standpoint? Because how can I ride to you if the streets are saying you snitching like you pretty much snitching and tattletelling in public, in live, we see you live telling. So I just
Yes.
think that it's gonna be hard. I wish he just would have said nothing and just maybe been quiet and said what I said earlier and just giving Kendrick his you got me. What's so hard with saying that? We wouldn't have thought less of it. We would have still been dogging you.
I think it's
Now
really
stop
because
it.
I don't know. I think that I really think it was the pedophile thing. And the fact that he was going to be on the Super Bowl and we all know he was going to do the song, especially after Juneteenth, especially after the pop out in LA when he brought the Fragile Ops and all the gangs together to, in the name of literally executing this man's career. So it's very interesting. Like, again, Drake is a sour loser for sure. Like this is sour loser land. However, I can understand why you got to stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
Like you got to stop it at some point because this is going even further. But I don't think I would have sued. I don't know about suing. I think it's very not rap. And I think that now my question is, do we consider Drake the greatest, like in terms of like artistry? Because he is this genre bender and he is able to kind of pick up all of these
He's
different
always
sounds.
been about business. Drake has always been about business. So his response, I think, is surprising or annoying to us. But again, you just said the genre bending. That's just business moves. He's going to go to another genre. I'm going to do Jamaican reggae music because, I'm going to keep my brand fresh. So he's always been a business person, which is why he probably became who he is today. His business acumen is there. And then my only thing or my slant around Kendrick, I don't think Kendrick ultimately makes better music than Drake. I think he makes great music, but I don't think it's better than Drake. And I think maybe Kendrick has more likability on a street level and artistry and rapping. And I think there's things we love about him. But honestly, I think what Drake has done is still very commendable. And I don't necessarily want to say we need to replace Drake with Kendrick, because the GNX album, and here's my unpopular opinion, the GNX album to me was a 7 out of a 10. There's about 2 records on there that I like. Everything else was cool. I have not seen Kendrick grown since Pimp the Butterfly to another level when it comes down to his content and his deliverability. I remember when Pimp the Butterfly came out.
Wait.
I know.
Yeah.
Let's slow down, Savannah. Slow down, Savannah. We gotta talk about that. That's definitely something we gotta talk about. But
Well, we don't have all day, but come on.
I respect the rating. But I will say Kendrick has definitely grown, as an artist for sure. Some of the albums that he has released have been very much rap. Like he was always a conscious man, like just a conscious rapper. Like I think he put that on the map far beyond in ways that we could never imagine. And I just think if comedy hype, we love telling Black freedom and those stories. Like he really helped illuminate and illustrate a story that was very Black. Like just you can't even what he has done for the culture. I just think that when it comes to being a rapper and being an artist, this is the conversation now that I feel like we're entering with Drake. Like, do you still want to be the best rapper of all time, or would you rather be considered an artist? Because look how the
Mhm.
culture feels about you saying you're the best rapper. A lot of people are not coming to bat for you because you've been considered very melodic. You sing a lot, you genre bend. Like, also, as Kendrick so aptly pointed out, you are mixed. You know, like you're from Canada. You don't really understand sometimes America. Like, do you really want to be a rapper? And I feel like that's what now this is showing me. Like, maybe this man is beyond rapping now. Like, because a rapper would have just taken this on the chin. What he did to Meek Mill, took it on the chin, came back, did his little thing,
Yeah.
but has never really toppled back on the charts.
Yeah,
He's an
definitely.
entity. He's a brand. It's a company now.
Right.
It's not about the music. It's about moves. And maybe to commend and Symphony to kind of like let you close us out, but to commend Jay-Z. Jay-Z was able to transcend into this corporate giant and businessman, but he always kind of kept his street level cool. And I think that's the lesson maybe Drake needs to figure out. How do I
Drake has
grow
never
and
had
become?
street. That I think that's what
But
everybody
I'm
needs to see.
saying,
Drake has never
not
been
saying
street. Let's
street,
be
not street
honest.
as in hood,
No.
street as in relatability, street as in
Respected.
I can keep my pulse on the ground level as I make these big boy moves. And I think that other side of him may be the lack of that, because he did grow up in Canada. His dad is from Memphis or in Memphis. It just seems like there's some codes that are lacking with him to truly understand how to move, because he does a lot of corny shit. He does a lot of corny stuff.
Yeah, I never looked
Yeah.
at Drake as a rapper. So for me, it is, yes, he's a great artist. But to me, like when he started getting like hard or like, I just stopped listening to it because it was just like, it doesn't feel authentic. It feels out of place. But I
You
think,
can't say nothing now.
I, hey, I
Him
guess.
and I'm sorry, I know you got a fan of J. Cole. Him and J. Cole can't say nothing right now.
Listen, the streets are saying that J. Cole is just somewhere relaxing because now he
No,
can say that
J.
this
Cole
is
is
the
releasing
lamest thing.
J. Cole is releasing a project. Let's be
I
clear.
heard that too, but
J. Cole
nah.
is releasing a project, but also too, John, you mentioned something, and this is a great point, and I'll close this out. You said that you wish Drake just would have took it like, oh man, okay, you won. But let's not forget how upset people were when J. Cole was like, you know what, like, I'm good. When J. Cole realized, like, I don't want to be a part of this is not me. This is not authentic to who I am. Everybody was calling him a sucker. Oh, he's apologizing. He's this, he's that. Everybody had something to say. So also too, like the culture is so quick to switch it up because you want somebody to like, oh, don't say anything and just take your L. But when somebody decides to step back from it, we still look at them like, oh, you're a sucker. So either way it go, I feel like everybody's in a lose-lose situation. Now that I'm looking at it from totality,
Right,
like
this is a big
Kendrick is
L.
up.
Like it's L, just a major L. Like it
Kendrick is
started
up,
with
though.
like that, and this is why we gotta blame Future. Because Future and Metro Boomin, why did y'all do this? Y'all
yeah,
did not need to do this. I
Future,
couldn't
it's
believe
time to
it.
retire and go take care of your kids. But I'm gonna go ahead
Messy
and get it
boo.
there. You know how I feel. But as always, I appreciate you both for chiming on this topic. A lot of layers. I think a lot of emotions that people are feeling. I think we'll kind of see what happens as this unfolds. As mentioned, obviously, this is an issue of what we're seeing with labels and artists. So I'm very interested to see how that pans out. And then also, too, with the Super Bowl coming up and this defamation, we'll see if Not Like Us will be able to be performed on that stage. But before we head out, Camille, having you on today was essential. So thank you so much. How can people keep up with you and all the things that you're doing? Because I want to make sure that people follow you.
Of course, thank you guys so much. Well, you can actually catch me on Comedy Hype whenever you need the hottest news from the streets, whether it's outside, hip hop, anything really that's rocking, and you need to know this. Millie Rock approved. You can come and find me here at Comedy Hype, and you can find me on Instagram at Millie Rock, MILLEYROCK_approved.
Absolutely. Now, John, I love when you join these shows. You always bring some spice to it. Anything that people can look out for what's happening right here on our platform.
Man, I would say, we got the holidays coming up. We have some exciting new moves that's going to take place. Just look out for, I would say, the company expanding when it comes to our content. You guys have been getting like a certain type of content from us. We want to still maintain that. We're not going to switch it up, but we want to start adding more to, I think, the spirit of what we do. Symphony. I think the spirit of what we do, we want to be able to expand that in different forms of content. So just look out for it. When you see this stuff coming down your pipeline, I just say give it a chance. Trust us that we know what we're trying to do for you in terms of a service provider. And look out for the things that we have exciting going on at hypersclub.com by way of Hyper Clubhouse here in Atlanta. So if you're in Atlanta, check out Hyper Clubhouse. If you're not in Atlanta, go to hypersclub.com and just get ready for the things that you're going to see over there. We look, forward to just really continue to servicing our community and our viewers like you at home.
Absolutely. Well, as always, thank you both for chiming in on this topic. But you heard from us. Now we want to hear from you in the comments below. What are your thoughts about Drake's lawsuit against UMG for allegedly boosting Kendrick Lamar's hit song, Not Like Us, and for defamation? Let us know in the comments below. Reporting live from Cape Town, South Africa for Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.